Hey people, what's good? This is Sports Debate Tuesday. I was just about to say Fight in the Sight podcast because this guy's on the
Not that one.
podcast. That's right. Timmy
It's not
B's in
that
the
show.
house, man. We're going to count down UFC 300. Buckle up, people. The episode starts right now. I did this before the podcast. I have to do it again. Guess who's back? Doom, 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 doom. Back again. Doom, 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 doom. Guess who's
This
back?
guy.
Doom, doom, doom.
This guy.
Clean shaven. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? That's a fact. We're not whack. We got stats. Got your back. Along with Timmy B, I am Jason Dabias. That's Timmy B, sorry, with the Fight and Sight podcast. Founder, member, executioner of Fight in the Sight podcast. I'm Jason Dabias. This is Sports Debate Tuesday. We're going to talk sports today. More exclusively, we're going to talk mixed martial arts. More exclusively, we're going to talk the UFC. My brother, we got a big one coming up. How you feel? Excited?
Oh, baby. It is a super exciting weekend for MMA fans or for fans of just any sport. This is our WrestleMania.
It really
So this
is.
is, UFC only comes with a 100 episode every 100 episodes. So very, very important. This is very exciting for us.
Nice. Yep. And teleprompter, please. Where are you? With topic number one, with UFC fast approaching, the current UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira had something to say about his upcoming matchup with recent champ and number one contender Jamahal Hill. Jamahal. And here's the quote. We're going to pull up the quote. And he says, I think Jiri, he's talking about Prohaska, is more accurate and precise with his strikes, with the way he flows and the way he fights. Jamahal Hill has a little more of an advantage on its power, which makes him dangerous too, because nobody wants to take a hit and go down in the fight, Pereira said via his translator. But when you talk about skill level, Jiri Prohaska is his superior, as translated by his translator or that app for $4.99 at the store that, like Chael Sonnen mentioned with Anderson Silva. So my question is, you're going to go first on this, Timmy, my man, Timmy B. The question is, who is a more problematic match stylistically for Alex Pereira? Do I have my clock? And boom, let's go.
I think the more stylistic, difficult matchup is going to be Jamal Hill. And the reason why I think that is because he comes at you a little bit differently. You don't really know what to expect with this guy. I swear, even though he is the former, or some would say current champion, he never lost it. He's got the dad bod. He's got the goofy personality. He doesn't have the badass look. Like when you see him, you're not immediately going to think there's a killer. And I think that can throw you off, man. I think it can throw you off. And I think with his strong power, we've seen it before. I think that he poses a lot of problems. And I think people might overlook him. He's also coming off a very serious injury. Now, whether he's truly healed or whether Uncle Dana just said, hey, baby, I'm going to give you a bunch of money to come in and at least save my main event for this pay-per-view. I don't know. But if I'm a betting man, which I am for very small Canadian dollars, I'm going with Jamal Hill. I think he proves a problem.
Wow, I had the volume off. We should have heard the horn honk. And by the way, your timing, as usual, is impeccable. With that being said, my turn. All right. So, listen, for almost all of the same reasons, I'm going to go Jamal Hill, and I'll tell you why, and I'll add a caveat, right? When you look at the way he slips and you look at the way he has reach, but not only has reach, but knows how to use his reach, Alex Pereira is going from someone like Yuri Prohaska, who is kind of a kung fu of eight drunkard style, which is kind of confusing, and that's how he gets the slips. But with enough video, you figure that out. Jamal Hill has at this point so far has still not been figured out on that level, and I think you're right. I think Dana might be catching him on some not ready stuff. But as I say, and as is written on his T-shirt, life's tough. You get a helmet, right? We ain't got time for any of that, and neither does he. And for any, I'm gonna save the remainder of my time to talk about what a wonderful podcast this guy has. You really, really get to see a side of him, his personality, and what he's about, and how he approaches things. And follow his podcast. Just look for his name, Jamal Hill, former champion, current champion, soon to be, and still champion.
Yeah. Yeah. Good call. I
Mm.
thought when you were saying what a great podcast, I thought you were talking about me and my personality and
Well,
my podcast.
there are
But
levels
I
to this,
forgive
and
you.
I know there was blasphemy by even mentioning Jamal Hill and us in the same sentence. And with respect to Jamal Hill, right? Great, great,
No,
great
great
fighters don't
podcast.
make great podcasters, but you're on your way.
No, no, dude, great podcast.
Isn't
Jamal
it?
Hill, his show is
Mm,
excellent. It's very well produced, first
mhm,
of all. It is
mm,
excellently produced. He is a character, man. The dude has got a personality, a golden personality, this guy.
mm.
Whether you like everything that he says, hey, if you loved everything that I said or everything that my man over here said, you wouldn't be listening to us, right? You have to have some sort of disagreement, some sort of reason to hear another side of or another point of view to issues. So that's important. But Jamal Hill, very, very cool, very interesting. And of course, he's the guy that called out Ariel Hawani. So I love that, man, because
What
I don't.
that's actually that's our to shame or not to shame. So guess what?
Oh,
Yeah, it's amazing what you stumble onto when you look at a guy's mixed martial arts record on the
yeah,
Google
yeah.
search. Ah, the only thing I could give him as far as podcast advice is just be yourself,
Oh,
be out there, be out there and don't sweat the small potatoes. Speak your mind, keep doing what you're doing, which I guess
yeah,
is don't change absolutely anything, right? For him,
yeah.
if he sees this podcast, probably sees me for the first time. Tim, a lot of people know you, but just the same, here we go. Hey, we're moving on to topic number 2. All right, topic number 2 is addressing the middleweight division. Now, in the UFC alone, there's only been a handful of middleweight champions. When you take into consideration Strike Force, Pride, and the other ones, not only have they been good champions, but they have good competitors that are worthy of GO status. So, with that being said, the question is, who are your top 5 middleweight greatest of all times? I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to give myself a minute, even though I'm pretty sure we're both going to run over. All right. Well, let's start with number 5. Number 5, I'm going to go with Rich Franklin when he beat Evan Tanner to win the UFC championship, and then he defended it against Nate Quarry. He looks really good. He had a lot of heart. He was very appealing, and he had to be the toughest school teacher anyone's ever seen. Which goes to number 4, Dan Hendo Henderson. Right, has not been a UFC champion in the middleweight division, but has been a Pride champion. Did knock out Vanderlei Silva. Still had that unbelievable KO of Michael Bisping, which is like his logo after this point. Multiple time champions, but if we're just talking about this division, he still has GOAT status in the middleweight category. Number 3, and I won't back down. The guy you love to hate, the dirty New Yorker from Team Matt Serra-Longo, Chris Weidman. Anderson Silva played games in the octagon and he made him pay. But you know what? He wasn't a one and done. He defended his championship against Anderson Silva again. He beat Loyola Machida and he finished a TRT'd up Vitor Belfort. So he's 3 on my list. Number 2, Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya, living in the Matrix, ninja style, knocked out Bobby Knuckles, got his belt back from Alex Pereira. But when you consider the path he took, and some of these guys who are impossible to knock out, and throw a little Yo Romero in there is one of them, still one of the most dangerous fighters in all of mixed martial arts. Gotta have him, which goes to number 1, and I'm gonna save you the time for this because you're gonna have so much to say about both of our number 1s, if that's the true. Anderson Spider Silva, second in most title defenses, I think, or maybe third to Jones. Demetrius Johnson's number 1, but in the manner and how he won the belt, and in the manner and how he defended the belt, slick submissions on his back, karate kick knockouts. See Vitor Belfort, YouTube. Anderson Silva, I'm going to save the rest for one of the best in the business. You're welcome, guys. Timmy B, take over.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, middleweight division is a very tough one. It's got a host of very famous people. So I'm gonna go with my top 5, but this could change literally by the minute if I thought about it. Number 5, I'm gonna go with Mr. Chael Sonnen. Uncle Chael, he's just such a personality in MMA and what he brought to the world of MMA and what he still continues to bring to the world of MMA in terms of his commentary and podcasts and whatever it is he does. He is the bad guy. I'm going with Chael Sonnen. Number 4 on my list is someone that nobody of you is going to know. I don't even know if you'll know him, my friend, but it's Anatoly Malakin.
Anatoly
He's from Malakin. He's from ONE FC. He is their current champ. He's the light heavyweight champ. He's the middleweight, and he's the heavyweight champion. He's holding 3 belts at the same time. This guy's a monster. Very cool dude. Check him out, Anatoly Malakin. That's my number 4. Number 3, I am going to go with again another weird pick. but Gegard Mousasi, he was a guy that was tearing up the UFC, literally tearing up the division, and then due to contract or whatever, he leaves and goes to Bellator. Of course, he becomes champion there. He's just a cool dude, man. He was a very unassuming guy, very polite, very well-mannered guy. I like him. He's my number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go with a hard worker, a guy who really shows what dedication and effort can get you. That's Michael the Count Bisping. Just such a crazy dude. I mean, he came right out of the movie Snatch, pretty much, and just he's just
He
a
is a
rough,
Guy Ritchie
grumbly
candidate.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like he's just a character from a movie, and he has become champion, and now he's a commentator as well. So he's doing a lot of good things. And then number 1, I gotta side with you, my friend. I'm going with Anderson Spider Silva, even though he had a little problem with the juice.
Yeah.
He still put on incredible performances, and unlike other champions, he was still finishing people when he was champion. That's a big thing for me. I care about your finish rate before and after you were a champion. And he's a guy that continued to knock people out and finish people, whether he was the champ or not. So big ups to Anderson the Spider Silva.
And big up to your list in a sense. To quote Nate Diaz, check my lineup. Right? When you look at Chael Sonnen's lineup of fighters, the man has fought everyone. You look at Gegard Mousasi, right? He fought everyone except the champion, and then went to Bellator and fought the best there, right? If you had a top 5 middleweight check my lineups fighters, I think that's amazing. Not to mention the ONE FC guy who doesn't get enough rub, but is certainly getting enough rub on this podcast, right? Anderson Silva, you kind of give him a pass on the performance enhancing drugs because nobody.
Do you?
Well, yes, in a sense, because the reason why he said he took it is so embarrassing and so hard to admit. I don't think anyone would make that up, and if they made that up, it wouldn't be something like that. It's like
It was for sexy time, no?
yes, he had a erectile dysfunction and was told that would help him. And you know what? It seemed innocent enough. And if you actually listen to him speak the Queen's English and say it in his light tone, you're just like, oh, you're not like cheater like everybody else, like T.J. Dillashaw or John Jones. You're like, oh, it's okay.
I do a very good Anderson Silva impersonation.
Mm-hmm.
It was for my That's my.
Well, I'll do Andre Arlovsky. How tastes me pee-pee.
Well, there you go.
That's some girlfriend situation for if you're a long-time fan, you go back and look at that. But we are not going to look back. We are going to look ahead, thankfully. To topic number 3, this is the Timmy B and Jason DeBilius pick 6. UFC 300 pick 6. This is where we pick 5 the main card fights, and the 6th fight is something called our fight of interest, where you pick your fight of interest with both fighters and pick a winner from there. And we will do that last, but first things first, let's go to the title picture because we can pick up where we left off with topic 1, and let's talk about Alex Pereira against Jamahal Hill. We're going to share a minute. Go.
I'm going to go with Jamahal Hill for the reasons that I said. I think that he just brings a weird style, a weird image, right? When you've got that guy standing across from you, I don't know how crazy that is. You're looking at this guy, and I just don't know that you're that serious when you're looking at this guy that's kind of a goofy character. He's got the dad bod. He's got the long, lanky look to him. Doesn't look like the killers that you normally see across the cage from you. And for that reason, Jamahal Hill.
Well, you carried the weight for both of us because you said dad bod, not me. So on the rare occasion, should he listen? That's Timmy B. I'm Jason DeBilius. He said it, not me. All right. Now, I will say this about you, Jamahal Hill. You went from just a dog with a lot of heart to a polished fighter to a contender to a champion. 7 wins, 1 loss, 1 no contest in the UFC. An amazing record. And consider his 1 loss was, right, he fought with a broken arm and tried to use his free arm to beat the living hell out of someone, right? And then the other no contest, bruh, stay off the weed. All right, he's going to be relaxed like he's smoking marijuana. He's going to use his reach, and I think he's going to finish Pereira in the 2nd round. I go Jamahal Hill. Let's go match number 2. I'm going to go first on this one. This is Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan. I literally had to write it that way so I can pronounce it that way. 30 seconds. All right, listen. Yan's impressive win over Andre is pretty good. It can't be ignored because that person, she has a granite chin and looks almost impossible to knock out. But you know who else is impossible to knock out? Zhang Weili got caught on a flash knockout. But she's proven she can grind. She's proven she can brawl. She's proven she can submit. She's a complete fighter. I'm going with the champ on this one. I'll leave you 41 minutes.
You have 41 minutes, I'm going to take.
Seconds. Sorry.
UFC 300 deserved a better co-main event, to be honest. Both these fighters don't speak English. That's a real problem if you're trying to sell it. I get that this is a great fight, but I really think having both fighters not speak English on your UFC 300 card was a mistake. That said, Yan Xiaonan also looks exactly like my cousin, dude. She literally looks exactly like my cousin, but just in way better shape. But she has no chance, you know, zero chance. Wei Li is going to mop the floor with her. It's a slam dunk.
I agree. And
Yeah,
slam dunk, speaking of the horn. Yeah, and listen, like you said, they're not very big name players, and it's even more difficult when they don't speak English. But
real
at
problem.
some point, as Zhang Weili starts to build her profile, she's going to let, very much like Anderson Silva, very much like Fyodor Emelianenko, she could turn into one of those fighters that let her fighting do the talking. And the only thing I can say is if they have a fight like this, Timmy B in the middle of the card, we say to ourselves, this better be good. I'm telling you, we're going to lead the UFC 300 be like, oh my God, what a barn burner. That was
Yes, except
great.
sure, sure. I could go on for a long time. All I
Yep.
know is that when I was looking at comments
Yeah.
on that fight, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is when we have our bathroom break."
Yep.
That's how much people don't care about this fight that
Yeah.
they're saying that the co-main is your bathroom break.
Yeah, but those are people that if Conor McGregor fought actor Jeremy Piven, they'll actually pee in a cup and sit and watch that match. So you got to consider the source on the type of fan we're talking about.
I get it, but look, for UFC
We need
300,
them, but not for UFC 300. UFC
that's what I'm
300,
saying.
there is no hype necessary.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah.
go, and I'm glad that they. I wouldn't have done it. I'm with you, but in a secret way, I'm glad they do, and I'd love to jump in front of that parade if it's successful. Uh, um, so we are going match number 3. This is for the BMF title. This is a ridiculous name. This is a ridiculous title. I guess you're gonna go first on this one. This is Justin Gaethje, the human highlight reel versus Max Holloway. Go.
Yeah, this is a interesting fight. I think that this man is going to get murdered. That is my Max Holloway cards that I've got. I've got all these UFC cards. Can I just take one quick second to say, if you are listening to this show right now, wherever you're listening to it, I'm going to give you some free UFC cards. Just come over to the Fight Insight podcast after you watch this show. Of course, after you watch the show, come on over to my podcast, the Fight Insight podcast. Whether you find me on Instagram, no, go to my YouTube page. Find one of my podcasts, my most recent one, whether it's this week's or the one that comes out on Thursday, where I make my UFC 300 picks with UFC fighter Bam Bam Barberena. Go on there, leave a comment, say that you saw me on this podcast, and leave me your email address. I will email the first 10 people, get your address, and I will mail you out some free UFC cards, man. I've got a whole bunch. I did some unboxing, so I've got some cards. I'll send it your way. That said, I'm going with Justin Gaethje. He is going to destroy Max Holloway. Destroy. It's going to be a bloody, disgusting mess.
Well, I'm going to make my pick, but I think there has to be a little spillover as to the why. And I want you to educate the audience. But for now, I'm a real fan. I'm not a fan of these fake titles, but if there's any
Yeah.
title appropriate for two people that you would call a BMF, it's Justin Gaethje, right? His
Yeah.
only 12 fights in the UFC, he won 10 of those were performance of the night or fight of the night, including his wins and his losses. So that's Justin Gaethje for you, right? Max Holloway, let me tell you something. Losing to Conor McGregor in 2013 was a long time ago. He won 11 fights in a row. He had to beat the best, Jose Aldo, right? He had to fight Brian Ortega when Brian Ortega was max. And he was fighting everybody in those max at his max. And the only thing that really halted his breaks were really Dustin Poirier. Styles make matchups. His second loss to Dustin Poirier. And Volkanovski in one of those fights, I thought he conceivably did win. So, but I'm going Justin, and what I want to know is if it's for all the same reasons you're going. Is it just that Justin comes after the weigh-ins? He just looks so huge. The guy looks so huge for 155.
No, it's just that Max is going up a weight class,
Mm-hmm.
right? So already you're the smaller guy coming up. Justin Gaethje is so violent. Like, he is one of the only guys that my wife will not watch fight, because when he fights, it is just violent. Like, it is just, he's wrecking your legs. He is wrecking your body, wrecking your head. Violence, violence, violence. When you're going to go up a weight class and fight a guy like that literally wants to die in the cage, That is not for Max Holloway. Max Holloway is a finesse guy. Like, look at who he last fought. He last fought the Korean Zombie in his retirement fight that everybody knew was like a gimme fight. Like, it's not like Max is climbing the ranks to get to Gaethje. He's had a couple of like lesser fights. I apologize, but kind of like lighter fights. That's not how you warm up for this guy. Justin Gaethje is coming to kill you. And
Yeah.
I don't see Justin Gaethje losing this fight in any manner at all.
No,
None,
and
zero,
and we're not casting any aspersions on Max Holloway, right? Like,
not at
if you
all.
tell Max Holloway someone's coming to kill him, he's prepared to die. I mean, he's
Hmm.
he's he's that when you get like a Hawaiian in that cage and like that just Hawaiian fighting spirit. I remember he fought Ortega, right? One was Mexican and one was Hawaiian. I think like Dominic Cruz said that's kind of Joe Rogan said that's a wash, and Dominic's like that's a push as far as like the heart department is concerned. But
Right,
like you
right.
said, show me a guy with a lot of heart. I'll show you someone I can beat up for an hour straight. And it was very much what Justin Gaethje did to Tony Ferguson. His career was never the same since.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and there are, I don't want to sound like an idiot about this, but there are concern about Max's safety on what this guy can do to a lower weight
Yeah.
class person, or maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe Max will surprise us all. You know, Max gets in there and he says, "Let's do the
Well,
damn thing," and you cheer for him. And there's really no one to cheer against here, right?
yeah.
Justin
No,
Gaethje
no,
is
no,
just
no. This
fantastic,
so
dude.
no, the fans love this fight. The
Mm.
fans are hyped for this fight, and fans that are picking with their heart are picking Max Holloway. And I'm glad because I need all those people to bet on him so that the odds on Gaethje don't go too bad, and I can add him to my parlay. So go
Right.
bet on Max Holloway for me, please.
And yeah, both fighters deserving of being called a BMF, but this Saturday they can only be one.
That
And
is correct.
and I'm glad these aren't like the BMF title for journeyman, right? I mean, at that time Max Holloway fought I don't mean to use the word journeyman as in this negative
No.
sense, but neither one had were even close to even sniffing a title shot. I
Right,
mean,
right, right. Yeah.
so let's go match number 4. We have Charles Dubronx Oliveira against Aman Sukarian. Now I'm gonna go. I think I go first on this one.
Sure.
Doesn't matter. I'll go first on this one. So this is the fight of the sidetracked versus the fight of the sidetracker, right? Oliveira got sidetracked, missed weight, right? So it's a little bit of a hiccup. I remember when Sukarian fought Benil Dariush, and Dariush was up sniffing a title if he'd won that match. So this is the sidetracked versus the sidetracker, and I think I would not be surprised to see Alman do it again against Charles Dubronx Oliveira. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going with Charles Oliveira. I think he's got the history and the credentials, and his past shows that he's fought in the best of the best. If I take a look, aside from Benil Dariush, the last 4 wins that Sarukian has is over Joaquim Silva, Damir Ismagulov, Joel Alvarez, and Christos Giagos.
Right.
I could not
Check
pick
my
those guys.
lineup.
I could not pick those guys out of a lineup if they walked right into my house right now. I could not tell you who those guys were. No offense at all. I'm sure those guys are lovely gentlemen and killer fighters. They could probably all beat me hands, with
Yeah.
0 hands and 0 legs, they could beat me. But that's not your resume that is setting you up to fight Charles Oliveira, and I think Charles Oliveira cannot afford to lose. So I think Charles Oliveira is coming in hot.
Yeah, look, you're right in the logic, you're right in the sense, but you're going to be wrong on the pick. I'm going Sakarian. All right, we got
Sure.
match
Yeah.
number 5. You're going to go first on this. We got Bo Nickel, the elite wrestler, just tearing through mixed martial arts, about to tear through the UFC. And he faces, speaking of people a lot of people never heard of with respect, Cody Brundage.
You son of a. First of all, the Fight Insight podcast has on only the greatest guests from around the world in combat sports. Last week, we had 3 of our former guests win in the PFL season opener. Jenna Bishop, Liz Carmouche, and Daniel the Predator James. They all won their first round because Fight Insight alumni have a lot of great luck. You know who else was a guest on our podcast just a few weeks ago? Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage is going to play spoiler and defeat this stupid Bo Nickel that I cannot stand. I just do not like this dude. He's way too cocky for his 5-0 record. Cody Brundage is going to Take the O. The O must go. Cody Brundage. The dude walks out to Mariah Carey and Dolly Parton songs. I love this dude. He is the nicest guy in the world. Cody Brundage with the win.
All right. Now, when I saw Bo Nickel was fighting on the main card, or actually not, yeah, he's at the bottom of this main card, like you said, another
Okay.
curious head scratching thing. I said to myself, finally, right? Or they're saying to themselves, finally, he gets to fight a fighter with a little bit more experience. But to quote Thanos from the Avengers, if you consider failure experience, all right, this guy's 5-5 his last 10 fights, and his 5 wins are not people of noteworthy either, and they're using this guy as a stepping stool, and I think that's exactly
Yep.
what's gonna happen inside the first round on this opening round of the pay per view. But you know what? I mean, the alumni win. What was the New Yorker? Who was the New Yorker we interviewed that you interviewed that fought at the Garden? Such a nice guy too. I saw the
Oh,
interview.
Jared Gordon,
Oh, what a great people. Go on Fight Inside
dude.
podcast. What a great interview. I put that up there with
Dude.
Bobby Green, and that was a great interview with Jared Gordon. Just such a good person. Go ahead.
Yeah. 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 Dude, Jared Gordon,
Mhm.
great dude. Like you said, Bobby Green. Can I tell you one quick thing? Spoiler alert.
Go ahead.
Bobby Green messaged me today and said he's going to come back on my podcast. He said I got to get back on soon.
Listen, tell you tell
Woo!
you what, you got to go first on this one because this is segue to our sixth of the pick six. So, ladies and gentlemen, our sixth is not something that's picked for us. We pick our own because it's a match
Yeah.
of interest, and we pick our winner of our own. You go first, buddy, and you got a whole minute. Take it. Take your time.
Bobby King Green, my favorite fighter of all time. There will never be a fighter as exciting and as fantastic to watch as Bobby King Green. If you know his background story, the dude came from hard times. He is a fantastic dude. He came on my podcast. It was the greatest day of my life. Do not tell my wife, right? Because my wedding is supposed to be the greatest. But for those of you listening, it was the day that Bobby Green came on my podcast. Freaking greatest moment of my life. So Bobby Green now gets given the shot to face Jim Miller, who has been on UFC 100 and 200 and now on UFC 300. This dude is crazy. He does not age. He's like goddamn the anti-aging. He's in the Lazarus pit. I don't know what this guy's doing, but he's crazy good. He gets to fight Bobby Green in the second fight of the early prelims. Cannot miss this fight. Bobby Green is going to starch Jim Miller. He's going to destroy him on 300. And Bobby Green, I'm so happy that he got this featured matchup. I'm very sorry for Jim Miller, but it's lights out.
Dude, that's not only on the prelims, that's on the early prelims.
Early
And
prelims.
it's going to entice everyone to watch because from Sparta, New Jersey, all the way up to Maine, Jim Miller's got a following. Bobby Green recently, the last 3 years, finally got the rub and the acknowledgement on what his personality and his fight skill demands. And it's going to be a great
Yeah.
match. Bobby Green, if you're listening, win or lose, man, come on that podcast. I'm definitely going to watch. And if you have a live chat or like a super chat, I'll throw in a little money while watching that at the same time. Okay, if I could do it for politics, I could do it for my fight and sight people. All right, my match of interest, and there's so many. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, Aljamain Sterling's fighting on this, right? I think
I
Cody
know.
Garbrandt's fighting the opening match
Yeah.
against
He's the opener of the early prelims.
against
Cody Garbrandt versus Figueiredo.
that's insane. What? That's the
Hmm.
early. That's the early prelim, or actually
Yeah.
the first one, early prelim. So my match of interest, I'm gonna go with the ladies. All right. Who are we? Do we run? Oh, we run this world. I got Holly Holm. And I got Kayla Harrison. You forgot. Look at you. Shame on you. Hold your head in shame. All right. Kayla Harrison, PFL submission machine. All right. I think only one loss there. It's going to be a great match against Holly Holm, but there's two lurking variables. One, has done a really good job pushing people around. And Holly's not that person that gets pushed around. She's really strong, particularly against girls her size and bigger. Like Cyborg didn't really push her around. Jermaine Durandamy didn't push her around. And the second thing is, I believe this is Kayla Harrison's debut as a bantamweight. So there might be questions on the scale. Is this woman going to suck herself dry to fight a cardio machine like Holly Holm? So Holly Holm's going to welcome her the proper way. I go Holly Holm, but by decision.
Oof.
You're not interested in this match.
That is such an interesting pick, my friend.
Yeah, I know,
Very interesting pick.
because it's something
Very
it's something you don't think anyone would be interested in. Of course,
No,
say
no,
it with me. Go
you're
on.
the only guy.
I'll take
But
it.
no, look, I'm proud of you for picking that fight, man, because it is an interesting fight, but it's an interesting pick.
Right.
But I like it.
Yeah, I'm with that. So great match. I mean, and we just mentioned Aljamain Sterling's fighting. Did we mention Rakic's fighting Yuri Prohaska in
Yep.
the prelim main event? That's worthy of a UFC tonight or a UFC fight
Fight
night
night.
main event or
Yeah.
even
Here's the thing that again, if you don't watch a lot of UFC, you're not a
this
big
is
combat sports
say
guy.
it.
Every single fight on this card is a main event any other week of the year. Like every single fight could have been a main event on any other card in the year. That's
Mm.
how good this card is from top to bottom. There is no slouches on this card. There is no Met fight that doesn't have the chance to be fight of the night. Fantastic card from top to bottom. If you have not watched the UFC before, this is one to watch, man. Don't even pay for the pay-per-view. Just watch the goddamn prelims and the early prelims for free, and you will become a fan. That's how good this is going to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. This is our Super Bowl. I'm going to Reno because I'm actually coaching volleyball out there. But when
Ah,
yeah, look, when people want like these little coaches meetings or these video room sessions or whatever, I'm like, I'm going to tell them to go kick rocks, right? You win the night, I'm going to win my night with the UFC that night. UFC 300, bro. UFC
yeah,
300. As we
yeah.
mosey on to topic number 4, one of my favorite ones, and we actually discovered this today in dialogue, but I thought it'd be fun to discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you to shame or not to shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
I see you laughing over there.
This is
I see you laughing over there.
it's the funniest segment, dude. I love it.
Big up to Kelly Campbell. She's the one I wanted to do a shame or no shame, and she said you should do the Game of Thrones thing. So, and we did it, and here we are on our topic of to shame or not to shame. So let's get our 1 minute clock. So Timmy B, as I was surfing some of Jamal Hill's previous matches, I was trying to get a little beat before he entered the UFC. I know he was undefeated before the UFC, and I got to see that match where his arm was hanging in, and it was against Paul Craig. That's finally remember the name.
Yep.
Top
Yes, yes, the
position.
Scottish
Paul
guy.
Craig broke his arm, and the referee stopped the match because he saw it. But I got to tell you, he's trying to use his good arm to beat the hell out of him. So as I was searching Jamal Hill's matches, I ran into a rift between Jamal Hill and Ariel Helwani, all right? Basically, Hill, just summarizing it, Hill accused Ariel Helwani of asking questions to Yuri Prohaska and some questions to him to bait answers to create a rift between him and Prohaska. And there were other things that happened. There were questions that he asked that he had a chance to ask him that chose not to. He chose to ask Yuri Prohaska about Jamal Hill or whatever when Jamal Hill actually was there and he could have asked him then. And Jamal Hill was really, really upset about this. And you see some journalists do this, but Ariel seems to be the leader in this. And to shame or to shame, our question is, shame or no shame? Do journalists go too far? So is it shame on Ariel or no shame? The floor is yours, my man.
It is definitely shame. This is something that bothers the crap out of me. Uh, Joaquin Buckley was just on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani and called him out on it at the beginning of their interview as well. There was the Jamal Hill incident, which went back and forth several times. Ariel Helwani, as well as other members of the media in MMA, have recently been very emboldened by putting in not just their own personal agenda, but their own biases into the questions that they ask. It's something that I tackle a lot on my show that I talk about because I feel like media is just terrible. I have quotes that I've saved from people's Twitter, like members of the media that are tweeting to people going, "Oh, could you imagine if I ask Triple C that question during fight week? I'll get him on this or blah blah blah." These stupid media people who have the privilege of being able to interview these people during fight week, during the most important week of their life, when they have to go into for life or death, these stupid media people are trying to catch you in questions to cause problems for you, either mentally, with your family, with goddamn social justice groups or with politics or with with your boss, with Dana White, something like that. Disgusting behavior by the media, and Ariel is not one without blame on this. And I don't care how innocent he plays it off. You know what you're doing. I mean, this is the thing. I had on a guest on my podcast where I showed it was Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon. Someone tried to like repurpose photos of him and use tweets of Jared Gordon to make it sound like he was about the UFC. I had him on and I said, "Is that what you meant?" He goes, "No, no."
No. It's only a
And
matter
Jared
of time
Gordon,
before
and Jared
Dana
Gordon
sees
went
that
after
too.
that person to complain about them.
Yeah,
But
that's his
anyway,
career. What if Dana gets a first impression that remains a
yeah.
lasting impression, and even if Dana finds out the truth, he's under Dana's radar for other stuff that has nothing to do with anything, all because of some
No,
weasel.
it's exactly that. And remember, how many times do we read a headline but don't read the full story? Or let's say we do read the story, but it's a biased story. Do we always go back to that newspaper day after day after day to see if they retract it, to see if they issue an apology, to see if they issue a different side of the story? No, a lot of times all you get is that first one, and that can be very damaging. When Jared Gordon went after that media outlet and said, "What the f are you doing, blah, blah, blah," they go, "We didn't mean anything by it. They just played stupid." But you know very well what you were doing by choosing the picture you choose, by quoting what you quoted to frame a story, right?
Hmm. Well,
And I hate it. I
allow
hate it,
me.
dude.
All right. So my minute. So check it out. I think anyone can raise their hand and say they're a journalist, right? And once someone does that, you examine some of the work they do and some of the consistencies that allow you to say to yourself, say self, yeah, that guy's a journalist, right? In the old days, we used to get brought the news and we decide for ourselves what happened, but now that's changed with social media that people tell us what happened. We don't even know what the news is, right? So Ariel Helwani has done a great deal of journalism and has won multiple awards on journalism, and he thinks that allows him to give himself permission to bait people in the questions that answer questions that he knows in his heart of hearts is going to offend someone, and then I'm not saying he's a weasel, or maybe I'm saying he's a weasel, but in a weasel move. All right, this guy said this on my show. Your thoughts? And on multiple occasions, he's had guests come after the other one, and he says, "Hey, I got him on, the person you're about to fight. You want to say something to him?" And it's good for clicks, and it's good for this. But if that's who you are, and if that's who you turned into, stop calling yourself a journalist. Stop calling yourself a journalist. You're a weasel. And now I'm calling him. Now I'm insulting someone personally because I'm not.
No,
No,
you're an
I want to take that
entertainer.
back. He's not a weasel, but it's a weasel move from an otherwise person that has a reputation of doing journalistic work. So I don't. Look, I'm a smart guy, right? But I said some stupid things on this podcast alone. That doesn't mean I'm stupid. That just means I said some stupid things. So I'm not saying he's a weasel, but that's a weasel
No,
move.
I got you.
One
Yeah.
last thing, and bear with me on this one.
Mhm.
Anyone that watched a movie called The Paper, Glenn Close, Robert Duvall, Michael Keaton, Marissa Tomei. Woman wanted a raise, and Robert Duvall, the old man's like, "I want to tell you a story," and nobody wants to hear stories from old people. And I'm sure people listening to this podcast don't want to hear that story from me, but I need you to bear with me. But don't get undressed. All right. So, he was covering the Olympics. Fight in sight. He was covering the Olympics in Grenoble, France. Actually, let's get a shot of that. There we go.
No, I didn't. I was trying to move it in frame.
There you go. But there was a bunch of reporters that were covering the Olympics in Grenoble, France. So they go to this French restaurant, right? And the food is terrific, and people just start ordering wine, food, more food. The bread is terrific, the chicken's terrific. But something one of the journalists picked up was that there's no prices on the menu. Right? So when they get the bill is $13,000. All right? And this is 1968. So even now, even Elon's gonna be like, "Yo, what's up with that chicken? 13,000." But it's $13,000. So now people are calling Western Union trying to wire money. Now people are saying, "I didn't order that. You ordered this," right? So a guy writes something on a napkin, gives it to the waiter, and the waiter said the bill's settled and walked away. And the guy that wrote a letter on a napkin was Picasso. There's a moral to the story, right? Interesting story. What the hell's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is you cover these people. You don't get to be these people. When you start acting like doing things to make yourself a star and to get your clicks and to raise your brand, you're moving further away from journalists. Very much the way I say when comedians get into politics, when you cease to hold your oath of office to comedy, you start to cease to be funny. And the same thing applies to journalists. When the more you started abandoning your oath of office to journalism, the more you will, the less you will be respected as a journalist. And this is not me insulting Ariel personally. This is a warning. This is a warning. He hasn't gotten punched in the face by someone yet, because he's got a protection and a 24-hour rule where people can chill out. But some of these fighters they're about that might is right thing. They do think they're right if they can punch you in the face and they're a better fighter. So please don't do that to yourself. That was wrong. You were wrong, dude. Ariel, you were wrong, man.
Yeah. I think the thing is like recently he's had a lot of WWE fighters on his show. Okay. Here's the thing.
He's got a mask. He wears a mask for some of these things. What journalist does that? He wearing a mask looking like Rey Mysterio.
No. So here's the thing. A lot of these media people, like the people I'm seeing that are tweeting online and stuff like that, joking with fans that you're going to ask these questions of Henry Cejudo or whatever, right? To kind of get them. Okay. Or where you try to bait them into problems. The minute you're doing that, you're leaving being a journalist and you're becoming an entertainer. And I think a lot of these media people, such as Ariel, begin to see themselves as so high and mighty that now I am an attraction in and of myself, that now I am the star, right? I'm not saying that I'm bigger than the other person, but that I am a star. Media are never meant to be the star. I guess in my opinion, that's the way it is. I don't think that the media should be the star. I think the media's job, especially journalists, like we're not talking like an anchor man or an anchor woman, right?
Because they evolved. They're not journalists anymore. They're anchors.
Right. But the journalists that we're talking about that are sitting there in UFC Media Day asking questions, your job is to goddamn ask a question, get the answer, and move on. And in truth, I really feel that during fight week, your job should be to promote the fighters, to promote the fight, and to help get the best side out of them. What I do find weird, and I tweeted one of the guys that asked a question, which was the one that asked Sean Strickland the question about the gay stuff and whatever. Okay. Like he asked something about that and Sean got pretty upset about it. I tweeted to that guy and I said, why don't you just ask that question on your own time? Right? If you want to do that and you want to approach that subject, which had nothing to do with the fight that was coming up in 3 days, right? Nothing to do with it. You know what you're doing. You're not an idiot. You know what you're doing. If you want to do that, I tweeted to him and I said, why don't you do it on your own time? Why don't you do it outside of fight week on your own time, asking that question? The guy responds to me and goes, well, I don't speak to him outside of the fight week and I wouldn't have that opportunity. That doesn't make it right. You're taking advantage of the opportunity you have to talk to him, which is gifted to you to help sell and promote the fight, and you're turning it into an issue. You're turning it into a propaganda. You're turning it into whatever. And I do not appreciate that. I think that that's just not the right thing to do.
I don't like that either. And press credentials are a privilege. You're right.
And
I can't believe give me press credentials. I swear to God, I'm going to ask questions that I think that are worthy. And you know what? The fighter's going to look me in the eye and is going to say, good question. And that's going to be my goal. Not a question that's going to make him remember me in another way, or
that's going to make some other community praise you.
Right.
That's not your freaking job, dude.
No. Well,
I don't know.
If Ariel's become an anchor and more of an anchor and a journalist, because I'm not saying you can't do both. I'm just saying that you can't do both and be called in the purest form. Both.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So that's all I was trying to say.
No, that's why I say when you say
big up to guys like you, like Mark Ramundi, another MMA guy. I like him a lot. New York guy.
When you say, oh, he's won those journalist awards, isn't that what he wins, Ariel?
He's won like the last 5 years. So he reminds everybody that he won 5 years in a row.
No, but what is the title?
Journalist of the year,
right?
Yeah.
Right. The problem is though, and this is why I was doing the WWE thing, I went off on a bit of a tangent. The minute on your show, right? Because you're only that person. Like you don't have two jobs. Like it's the one job on that MMAR. when he's on there interviewing WWE wrestlers who are in character and get into fake fights on his set, and he stands up and has fake security guards fakingly hold him back, you're part of the show, my friend. And that's fine, and I love it, and people love it, and that's all entertaining and interesting. But I feel like then you've switched over to something else. You're no longer just a journalist. You're now part of the show. And congratulations. I love that you're successful and you're an inspiration to many. But I
Mhm.
don't, but I, there's a line there,
Yeah.
there's a line. The minute you become part of the WWE show, it's just
It
silliness.
infuriated me
And
so much. I actually used the name Weasel. I don't like that. I don't like calling sound like I'm. There's 10
no,
different ways for me to not to say the word weasel without calling him a weasel. I think I did all 10 in my diatribe. I don't like doing that. But be who you are. And be who you are. That's cool. Are we done with this?
yeah, sure. I
All right, cool.
apologize. Yes.
No, no, don't. This is us trying to take it as far as it could go, and I think we succeeded, Timmy B. I think we succeeded in that.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting
100%.
topic that we could go on for an hour and talk
And the
about.
subject is called to shame or not to shame. What the hell did I think? How did I think that was going to turn out?
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
a heated issue.
Well, we're going to topic number 5, and we don't have a whole bunch of these, so we don't have to actually do these quickly or slowly. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you quick question.
Quick,
All
quick,
right, buddy. Quick
quick.
question. If Bo Nickel wins, this is stupid question. Is there a Strickland call out on the horizon? Do you
No, that
think
guy's no,
no?
way too early.
Okay, very good. Good. Takes care of that one. Quick question. Is Khamzat Shemaev and versus Robert Whitaker a number 1 contender match? That happens in May, I think. It's a main event for May.
No, I don't think so because I think Strickland is either going to get a rematch or Israel Adesanya, and whichever one doesn't get it, whatever their next fight is, would be the number 1 contender.
Nice. Quick question. This is designed to offend and anger Timmy B. Will John Jones ever fight Stipe Miocic?
No, the dude just got in trouble for freaking assaulting someone potentially in his home while he was celebrating a birthday and taking a nap while he was celebrating the way he feels that he's allowed to. Do you know about this? Your face reveals that you do not.
I'll close
Dude,
my mouth and listen.
no, there was a thing that just happened. So DFSI, which is Drug Free Sport International, which is the new organization that is dealing with the drug collection or the sample collection, which replaced USADA. DFSI took place January 1st, 2024. They are at his home at John Jones's house. This is like maybe a week ago or so by the time this comes out. The allegation, so they go to his house 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, whatever it is, one of the collection agents, which is a female, there was a female and a male, goes to the police to report that he grabbed her phone, threatened to kill her, blah blah blah. John Jones goes and posts so then he, apparently might be arrested or something like that. John Jones goes on his Twitter post that says, "Hey, I was in my house celebrating a birthday. When I'm doing that, I'm allowed to do what I want. There was no altercation, blah blah blah. There's a misunderstanding. I don't appreciate this, whatever." Like when he says I was celebrating birthday the way I feel I could, that means there's some sort of intoxication, or at least that's what generally everybody kind of assumes, right? Then people keep messaging about whatever, and then he tweets again the next day going, "Hey, I was celebrating a birthday. I was in my house. I was taking a nap when they came in and blah blah." Like his story already changes between 2 tweets because the first one he doesn't say he's taking a nap, and even if you were taking a nap, you just wake up and get like so aggressive with people. You're in the UFC. The drug sampling happens, you idiot. This stuff happens any day, any time. Like that's the whole point of this, to catch people. You're a guy who has been caught for multiple times on
Well,
PEDs.
first of
So
all, look, first
so
of all,
anyways,
go
so
ahead.
anyways, the end of the story is that like now he's in trouble with this. There's apparently like might be arrested, might not be arrested, blah blah. The DFSI agents obviously have a problem with him. I mean, do I think the DFSI agents are making up stories to set this guy up? No. So where there's smoke, there's fire. There's got to be something weird happen. He releases a video of the agents leaving his house where he kind of high fives the lady, it appears. or something like that. But he says, "Oh, I've got a video where I high five her," but it's like she's leaving the house and they go like this. Like it's not like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Like it wasn't like that. It was like kind of like a weird goodbye kind of thing, but it
Right.
doesn't show anything. There's no sound to it or whatever. And why would this lady make this up? Anyways,
When
that
you
all
were
said,
telling
and
the story, and this is shame on me, right? I mean, I
yeah,
was
yeah.
I was like, which fighter is he talking about? Though I think it should have been more obvious to me. So when you're saying this happened, this party happened, I'm holding onto my seat like this, and I'm like, please don't say it's Stipe. Please don't say it's Stipe. Please don't say
Oh
it's
my
Stipe. Right?
God, I'm sorry. No,
And
yeah, of
no,
course
but
not.
you shouldn't be sorry because once again, this is like O.J. Simpson getting caught with another dead white girl, right? And O.J. looking at you like, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it was me, right? No, both stories are believable. Both stories together are not. Like telling one story one day and then the next day telling another story makes you completely full of crap. If he actually stuck to one or the other, like his most
Yeah.
diehard of fans would have been like, y'all are just hating. Y'all don't understand. He loves us.
Oh
You
no,
know?
no, that's what they're saying now. Anyways,
Oh
no,
no.
of course there's a divide. Anyway, sorry. Yes, I'm
But
talking about John
so no,
Jones.
they ain't gonna fight.
So are they gonna fight? No. Every day
It's the
that goes
fight he
by,
wants, and it's the fight Stipe wants, and for some
they
reason, what's in the way of that? It's the
they
fight both of
only
them want.
they only want it because it's going to be both of their last fight. John Jones is going to be fed Stipe. Like Stipe is just going out there to lose. Stipe
I don't
hasn't
know
won
about
in
that.
like 5 years. You know what I mean? Like Stipe's, I
His
don't even know
last
what Stipe
loss
does.
was
You
in
ne-
Ngannou. What are you talking about? And John Jones, when was
what?
the last time he fought? How many times did he fight in 5 years?
I know, but at least you see John Jones training. You see videos of him training. You never see Stipe doing anything. I don't know other fighter that trains with Stipe. Like you never
No.
see him in the world. You know what I mean? Granted, I'm not looking for him, but like you just never see him. This guy's coming back for one final payday, right? To get slaughtered by Jones, to give Jones the gift of being
Do you know
saying
how
that I
ridiculous
beat
that
the
is, though?
GOAT.
Do you know this
What?
this guy, freaking family man, firefighter? You're spending 72 hours in a fire station, day and night, right? And then the
Yeah.
time you're not there, you're spending time with your family. Uh, um, but and John Jones is using his time to do what he's doing, but John Jones is training. That's what we're gonna go with.
I I don't know. What do you mean? What
I
wait,
mean,
what is
even when Stipe was an active fighter, when did you ever see him train?
during the embeddeds? I don't know. No, like I'm just saying Jones trains at a big gym, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
I don't know what Stipe is doing, but I don't think Stipe is coming back to win the fight. You know what I
If
mean?
I think he can win, and I'm the only one, again, whatever. Uh,
Of
um,
yeah.
but listen, we don't base this sport on bandwagon fallacies because a premise is popular that it's correct. There's a reason why they fight. But yeah, I gotta go with you. I gotta go no, right?
They're never gonna fight.
Right,
Never gonna fight. And maybe they were going to, but this is
right.
definitely gonna be a problem for John
No,
Jones.
I agree. Last quick question: what champion will not survive with the belt in 2024? I think I got one. I go first because I can remember. I'll go Rocky. I mean, with with the top five just waiting to get a title shot from her. I think she's one and done, and I'm glad she had a chance. When you consider her career and her ups and downs, and
Mhm.
just being just this genuine person and great person. I'm glad. Very much like Holly Holm won the title. Very much like Misha Tate, came back and won the belt as well. You're happy for these people, but yeah, I don't see her making it to 2024.
Wow, that's a tough question, man. I
I
do
mean, you
like
got
that pick.
Grasso, you got
Yeah, I do like
Edwards.
that pick. I was gonna say Grasso only because, but I just don't know who else is in that division really. Minot, I guess,
Yeah.
Fura, the French woman. But I don't know. You know what? I guess I would have to say uh no, Sugar Sean's not gonna lose his
No,
title.
he's not. In fact, he'll probably keep the title
Tapuria's
fighting up. you know,
Tapuria's not gonna yeah, Tapuria's not gonna lose his. I mean, there is no
I
heavyweight champion
well,
because John Jones.
125. I think anyone
Wait,
who
can I say that John Jones will lose his title because he'll be stripped? I mean, that's a potential. Uh, Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to say John Jones is going to lose his title, whether he fights and loses it or whether he's just stripped of it. That counts.
Right.
Technically, it counts. He's no longer champ. I think John Jones will not be champion by
Well, it's as
2024.
early as this week we can go Pajeda, right? But if you look at
Ah,
you look at 125, right? And I think anyone whose first name is Brandon can easily be the champion before the year's end, right? And what you would affectionately refer to as the Who Cares division. But for
mm,
mine, like just highlighting someone taking UFC 300 away, I go Rocky. Because if I had to go immediate, I have to be consistent with my pick, right? Jamal
yeah,
Hill. If I think Jamal Hill's gonna win, that means Pereira is no longer the light heavyweight champion, and he will not survive 2024 because he ain't gonna get a rematch if he loses this match.
right, right, right.
I really don't think they'll give that. They'll do that. All right, guys. So
Uh, yeah.
okay. All right, guys. So listen, before we go, I usually give mad props to someone locally or someone with smaller names, but I'm going to go big or go home on this one. Big up to Dana White. I saw a story, like a little YouTube clip of how when Joe Rogan was under a lot of pressure because of some things he said about COVID, some things he said about race. Disney, who was trying to be all politically correct, the biggest hypocrites they are, demanded that Dana White pull Joe Rogan from commentating on matches. In fact, they were running articles saying Joe Rogan's out for this UFC pay-per-view, not which was weasel news because he was out. He was hunting anyway. He wasn't going to go anyway. But the news report made it sound like he got pulled because of controversy. He wasn't gonna, so big up to Dana because Dana said if he's out, I resign. Dana, I saw that interview and I'm telling you, and the guy who was interviewing is like, when I saw you say that, I almost cried. And I believe to affect change, right? You need collective change from the working class to rise up and do all this thing. But it certainly wouldn't hurt to have someone in a position of power says, you know what? I'm his guy and that's my guy. And we ride or die together. So big up to Dana for exercising our First Amendment right to free speech, outside of government persecution. That's First Amendment. Big up to Dana White for saying if Joe Rogan's my guy, if he resigns, I resign. And ESPN, Disney is the one that bent on this one. Yo, I know I don't mean to go big. I don't mean to punch up in an affectionate way. Dana, you're my man. I'd love to work for you someday, and I'll take Timmy B with me. Timmy's like, how about I take you with me?
No, hey, I will ride any coattails. I'm
Yeah.
good, man.
Dude, if they allowed us to do this on ESPN a half hour a week, are you kidding? Dude, we'd be so polished. Come on.
Make it happen. Make
Yeah.
it happen. You got the connections, my friend. Get us on the radio. Get us whatever, man. I would do that in a heartbeat if I
Yeah.
could figure that out.
I love it. Let's get a full camera on Timmy B. Let's promote that site. And of course, let's go one more time on those cards. Floor is
Yeah,
yours
buddy.
before
Yeah,
we're
so
out of here.
okay, so Fight Insight podcast, come and check me out. I would love to be your second favorite podcast behind this one. So come and check us out. We have new episodes every Thursday. Fight Insight podcast. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever. Like I said, come over to my latest episode right now. Say that you saw me on this show. Tag me, leave it on the YouTube channel. Say that you saw me on this channel. Send me your email address and I will send you some UFC cards. I got a whole bunch in my basement downstairs that we opened up. I will send some to you. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to Fight League Atlantic. Go to fightleagueatlantic.com. I'm going to be commentating this weekend's BJJ pay-per-view on Friday, April 12th. It's their Submission Kumite 6 tournament, and I'm going to be commentating their MMA pay-per-view on the Saturday, which is Fight League Atlantic FLA 15. FLA 14. I'm going to be there in Lance, Nova Scotia, commentating those two pay-per-views. I'm very blessed and grateful for doing that. So thank you to everybody for supporting me. But anyways, come on over to my channel and we will chat. And I'll see you here on the next time that I'm a guest on this show, if I'm ever invited back, because I love being here and I love doing the pick six. I love doing all the stuff that we talk about and doing all the UFC picks.
All right, so this is the warm-up. Fight Insight podcast is the main event. So for now, I am out of here, okay? This guy might love you, but I don't love any of you guys. In fact, I can't stand any of you. So for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPad, for all of you on your Droid or desktop, who runs the world? Old school, baby. Old school for my man, Timmy B from the Fight Insight podcast. I'm Jason DeBeers. This is Sports Debate Tuesday. We're going to hit my music and we're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NYVarsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.